It was one of those sweltering Lagos afternoons when the sun presses heavy on the shoulders and time itself feels slower. Outside the polished glass doors of a high-end tech headquarters in Victoria Island, a woman stood in silence. Her face, graceful yet calm, didn't betray the heat or the humiliation she had just endured. Moments earlier, she had walked into the reception of the very building she owned, only to be told by a young receptionist, without even a glance up, "Madam, please wait outside. You can't stand here. This space is for clients only." Before we continue, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell to get notified for more, share to friends. Where are you watching from? Please tell us in the comments. We love seeing how far our story goes. Adana Kingsley, 38 years old, founder and CEO of King's Tech Solutions, was dressed simply in jeans, sneakers, and a loose-fitting Ankara top. She had just returned from a surprise inspection trip to a school her foundation was sponsoring in Ogun State. Covered in the dust of travel, her understated appearance made it easy for people to mistake her for anything but the multimillionaire CEO she truly was. She didn't argue with the receptionist. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't even reveal her identity. Instead, she quietly stepped outside, took out her phone, and began to observe. Through the glass doors, she watched as suited men and women passed her by. Some gave her a condescending glance, some ignored her entirely, and a few even whispered, assuming she was maybe a lost vendor or cleaner. Her eyes, however, were steady, focused. 5 minutes later, her executive assistant, Tola, pulled up in a sleek black Lexus. Tola jumped out, flustered. "Ma, I'm so sorry, I was stuck in traffic. Have you been outside all this while?" Adana smiled calmly. "Yes. I've learned quite a bit in 5 minutes." They both walked in. As soon as the receptionist saw Tola, she jumped to her feet, face pale. "Oh, Ma, welcome." Adana stepped forward, her tone still soft, but sharp. "Do you always ask women who look like me to wait outside?" The girl stammered. I didn't know who you were." Adana turned to Tola. "Call the entire management team. I want them in the boardroom. Now." 30 minutes later, a tense group of directors, senior staff, and department heads were seated around the long oak table. Adana walked in, her dusty clothes now seeming to command even more respect than a designer suit could have. "No introductions today," she said. "I want to tell you a story." They listened. She recounted every detail, how she was dismissed at her own reception, how no one recognized or assisted her, how the workplace culture had become so elitist that judgment was based on appearance rather than value. "You see," she continued, her voice steady, "this company was built from scratch. With my hands. With my sweat. And more importantly, with a mission, to build technology for all, to create opportunities for people, regardless of what they wear or where they come from. But if this is how we now treat people, especially people who don't look wealthy or important, then everything I've built is a lie." She stood up. Effective immediately, the receptionist is dismissed. There was a collective gasp. But not just her. Because this is bigger than one person. The rot starts from the top. Every single member of management who walked past me without regard, without respect, without asking if I needed help, is also dismissed. Today. Chairs screeched, voices began to rise in protest. One of the senior directors, Mr. Olumide, stood, clearly agitated. "Ma, with all due respect, this is extreme." Adana raised a hand. "What's extreme is the comfort you've all developed in judging people based on surface. What's extreme is forgetting the very values this company was built on." Security was called to oversee the process. By the end of that day, 9 people were escorted out of the building, including the head of HR, 2 regional directors, and the manager who had watched her stand outside and said nothing. But the story didn't end there. The next day, Adana gathered the entire company in the conference hall. She told them what had happened. She spoke from the heart, about humility, about empathy, and about the quiet power of treating everyone with dignity. She introduced a new internal program called Perspective, where employees would rotate through different roles, including security, janitorial services, and front desk, every quarter. "If you cannot serve," she said, "you have no business leading." Within 6 months, the company's culture had transformed. Clients noticed it. Employees thrived in it. Productivity soared, not just because of tighter operations, but because people felt seen, respected, and valued. The receptionist who had dismissed Adana, she didn't vanish into unemployment. Adana personally wrote a recommendation for her to attend a customer service bootcamp, paid for her training, and checked in regularly. "We all make mistakes," she said. "What matters is how we grow after them." Moral lesson. The story of Adana Kingsley teaches us that titles and wealth do not excuse us from humility, nor should appearances define our respect for others. In a society obsessed with class and status, it's easy to forget that behind every face, whether dusty or dazzling, is a story, a human being, a soul deserving of dignity. When leadership embodies integrity and empathy, transformation becomes inevitable. Sometimes, the most powerful revolutions happen in silence, in 5 quiet minutes, just outside a glass door. Now tell us, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss the next powerful story, and share this with someone who needs to be reminded, kindness never goes out of style.